Good morning. Welcome to the forecast discussion for January 15th, 2013. It is 8:30 a.m. and we are a bit colder than what we were yesterday, that is for sure, as we have temperatures in the mid to upper 20s and a few lower 30s over the northern interior and mid 30s to upper 30s along the coast. We have a cold front that has slipped through, and as a result, we see some winds here shifting to the north and the northwest throughout the entire northern mid-Atlantic. And we also have some drying conditions after a first batch of rain and a little bit of ice over the northern interior moved through the region last night and has exited this morning. But we have more wintry precipitation on the way, so let's break that down and take a look at exactly what we can expect for today. Well, first of all, for this afternoon, temperatures are not going to rise all that much, looking for lower to mid 40s along the coast, upper 30s to lower 40s over the interior, pretty much near normal for this time of year. Slightly above normal if you want to be technical by 1 or 2 degrees. But pretty much near normal compared to what we've been dealing with, which has been very warm. Not as warm as what the model guidance was suggesting, but still pretty warm for this time of year. Taking a look at the latest infrared satellite picture, you can see a lot of high clouds starting to develop here. And these high clouds are indicative of a thermal gradient setting up in the mid levels of the atmosphere. That's very important setting up for tonight because we have this high pressure system trying to funnel cold air in, and this low pressure system spawned by a disturbance that is developing over Texas and the warm air interacting with this colder air over the southeast coast. So this low pressure system is going to track towards the New Jersey coastal waters, and that is what's going to lead to the threat for some snow, some sleet, and some rain throughout the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area. Now, when we take a look at the water vapor satellite picture, you can clearly see what we're setting up here. We have the southeast ridge being shoved and pushed off the southeast coast. And this southeast ridge does not take that very kindly, and it is trying to fight back. Thus, you get a nice trough developing around the central part of the country with a nice disturbance here in Texas. You get a nice southwesterly flow from basically the Gulf of Mexico up into the northern mid-Atlantic, but at the surface you have northerly winds bleeding that cold air in. So what that leads is to warm air at the mid-levels trying to move into this colder air at the lower levels. And that leads to, well, a mess and a bit of a tricky forecast. Let me show you the radar here. You can see the precipitation clearly developing here, and the first batch is exited. Now the second batch is starting to develop over portions of Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, and this is going to expand a bit in size and lift to the northeast towards the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area after 7 p.m. Now here's where it gets tricky. At the surface you have this high pressure system right here, and you can see it starting to cave down, or cold air damming down towards Virginia. Now this tells me that cold air is being funneled in, and we know that with our northerly wind. This is where it gets tricky. At the mid-levels you can see colder air, and there's our boundary between freezing and non-freezing, has pushed into central New Jersey. You can pretty much feel it out there. It's certainly much colder than what it's been. What's going to be interesting to watch is that as this disturbance develops and lifts northeast, how far north does this boundary lift? Now, currently, I'm expecting that boundary to lift just to the north of New York City, right along the shoreline of Connecticut, back through northern Jersey, and just to the north and west of Philadelphia. And that's where I have the accumulating snowfall. However, as we know, weather doesn't always go to plan as what we have forecasted. So, what we're going to have to watch over the next 24 hours, and currently I still think this is going to happen, is that this disturbance is going to solidify and intensify. And as a result, ahead of the disturbance, this air will moderate and will lift us slightly above freezing over portions of southern and central New Jersey at the mid-levels. And we can see that kind of at 850 millibars as well. You see our rain snow line kind of setting up already. And I think this is basically going to be where our demarcation line is going to be between accumulating snow and pretty much a wet, cold, dreary, slippery morning over much of the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area for tomorrow. So you can see pretty much where we're setting up here with this boundary. If this boundary was a little bit further south, then the entire northern mid-Atlantic would be in line for a light to moderate snowfall. But right now, the way the boundary is set up this morning, it looks like your northwestern suburbs are your most likely area to see that snowfall as its moisture lifts north and east. And by the way, as far as precipitation lifting north and east, you can see we're starting to see a nice moisture influx developing here. And as far as temperatures are concerned, our wet bulb temperatures are basically set up where I'm expecting to accumulate snowfall is set up, and also our near freezing temperatures at the surface are in the same location. And if you want to get really technical and look at the critical thickness levels, which is basically an indication of where all snow is most likely, you can see it's all setting up over the interior, not along the coast. Just kind of putting a nail in the coffin of that idea of snow along the coast. So here's the forecast that I have out for the region. Basically for Long Island, down through New York City, central and southern New Jersey, looking for rain, possibly mixing with a little bit of snow at the end tomorrow morning. A trace to maybe an inch of snow if you see a burst, generally on grass and on car tops. A little bit more north and west along the coast of Connecticut, around Yonkers, back towards north central New Jersey, and to the north and west of Philadelphia. Look anywhere from 1 to 3 inches, most locations around an inch. That 3 inch again is in case we see a burst of snow with some enhanced lifting from a mid-level disturbance here or there. And up to 1/10 of an inch of ice, mostly sleet in that form. Again, starting tonight on through tomorrow morning. And then well north and west over northeastern Pennsylvania, over portions of northern and especially northwestern New Jersey, the Hudson River Valley, and Connecticut. Looking for 2 to 4 inches of snow, possibly up to 5/10 of an inch of ice via sleet. Again, most of the precipitation will fall between 9 p.m. tonight, really 10 p.m. tonight if you really want to get the steady precipitation, on through 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. This is going to be a quick, fast-moving little disturbance. Again, I think the bulk of this over here is basically around a 2 to 3 inch margin. Could see 4 inches and some heavier snow bands. The one thing I'm going to keep an eye on with these type of setups when you have warm air interacting with cold air building south is that sometimes you get one of these little mid-level disturbances that plays a trick on us and enhances a storm more than what it really should. If that is the case, of course, that's going to have to be nowcast or watched while it's evolving. And it's one of those little wild cards we're going to have to keep an eye on for the potential for higher accumulation over the northern interior. And maybe one of those surprise accumulations, which is why I got 1 to 3 and 1 inch over here along the coast. Something to just keep an eye on, especially for tomorrow morning with everyone driving. As far as the rest of the forecast, I'm using the European Mile Guidance from the Penn State UL website, an excellent website for all your mile needs. And you can see, once again, here's our disturbance for tonight. You can see that cold air slowly sinking south. By tomorrow evening, that cold air will continue to build south. Now, everyone's keeping an eye on this disturbance, but I think these two, this polar jet and this subtropical jet for this disturbance, will remain separated. And we can see that because of this right here. See this sinking air here? That tells me that these two streams are basically not lined up properly to phase. This is a little bit too fast and this is a little bit too slow. If they phased, different story. This would be one heck of a potential storm. But it doesn't look like they're lining up correctly to support that type of development. And we know that via the sinking air here, that would suggest a separation in the streams. And so as a result, no storm. As such, the storm exits out into the Atlantic. We remain dry for Thursday and for Friday with chilly weather conditions. We're talking about temperatures struggling to break 40 degrees. Most likely, most of the areas will be in the mid to upper 30s on Thursday and Friday. On Saturday, some of the malls are advertising a warm-up as much as up to 50 degrees. I'm not buying it right now. I'm thinking mid-40s for most locations, lower to mid-40s over the interior, mid-40s along the coast on Saturday, as we are ahead of another Arctic cold front, and that Arctic cold front will drop temperatures into the 30s. And I'm talking about lower to mid-30s on Sunday and on Monday, with very cold temperatures and the potential for a few scattered snow showers here and there. And if you want to see where we're going with this whole environment and this whole storm setup, take a look at this. This is the latest ensemble mile guidance from the GFS and also the European mile guidance. This is pretty strong agreement here. You got a nice ridge over the west, nice ridge over the west. You see some high latitude blocking here, and a nice impressive upper level trough setting up over the east that would support a negative Arctic oscillation and possibly a negative North Atlantic oscillation with a positive PNA. Basically, that means that the potential for stormier weather and, of course, colder weather is certainly in the cards here. We're just going to see exactly how everything lines up moving forward. And if you have questions, for all of us meteorologists, we're going to have a winter weather workshop here, the second one, in the Philadelphia area this Saturday between 9:30 and 11 a.m. $20 in advance, $30 at the door. It's at Humville, Pennsylvania, 123 Main Street, and proceeds go towards the American Red Cross for Sandy relief. And it's going to be myself, the guys from Live Weather Blogs, also Atmosphere Geo Atmosphere Weather, all combining and working together to basically provide really a great morning of information on the January-February outlook, what to look forward in spring, and of course you can ask us questions and we will of course answer throughout the morning. So that is your forecast discussion for today. Again, I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. Almost forgot that. You can follow the latest weather information at nynjpaweather.com and nynjpaweather on Twitter and Facebook. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there.